What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the W Sports Podcast. If you're hearing this clearly and it sounds better than last week, that's because I have the volume turned up correctly. And we have all our issues worked out, so I'm excited. It's going to be a great podcast today. Jimothy, myself, and the best co-host in the business, Tubby, we are back at it again for another incredible episode of the W Sports Podcast. Thank you all for joining in. Tubby, welcome back to the show.
See, I'm just glad I don't have to deal with so much tech stuff like you do, that I've got my stuff set up and that's all I got to worry about right now, because if that was the case, we probably would never have anything figured out because
we would just keep it simple.
It just goes over my head most of the time.
So here's the thing, so every now and then Tubby, again, you have great camera presence when we're doing this podcast. I feel like you're always locked in and engaged with not only me, but like everybody who's participating in this thing. But whenever I'm here, I have a second laptop here. So people notice that I'm looking this way, or it's either one because I'm researching something real quick that we're talking about, and I want us to get it right. Just Tubby already knows this stuff. I just want to ensure that when I'm about to say something, I got it right. But the other thing is I have 2 or 3 different tech pieces of equipment. That sounded redundant, but 2 other pieces of tech over here, and I used to leave it out, but not anymore. Now I have it put up in a locker here at my place, and that way, during the week, it's just not out. It doesn't look as messy.
Mm-hmm.
And then here I am just trying to figure it out as we go. So today, and it was an easy fix. I'm happy about it. But
hey, kudos to you. Like I said, there's no way I'd be able to do it. Tech stuff it goes right over my head nowadays. I feel like an old man when people are like, "Oh, yeah, how do you do this?" I'm like, I don't know.
Is this the area you feel the oldest? Like, I know as we get in our 30s, we're both in our 30s. There are just times you're like, man, I'm getting older. This is not great.
Yeah, this is definitely one of them.
Is there any other way that you would also add to that?
Oh, it's just the fact that you wake up every morning, you go, "Oh, new muscle hurts today."
Yeah, I've started telling people I'm almost 30, because technically that's true. I'm a little older, but I'm almost 30. I'm still hanging on.
Yeah.
We went on vacation last week, and I think I told you, I tore up my knee, and I didn't tear it up, but I just sprained my knee. So I didn't get to play softball. We're in the playoffs for the spring league. Tomorrow's the championship game. I'm talking to our teammates last week as I'm watching Stephanie absolutely crush it out there. And the team is winning. I mean, they're smoking the team. They're the best team. But they said, "Hey, what'd you do to your knee?" I said, "Honestly, my knee's fine." I said, "I'm just holding out for a better contract. And so I can't be in the clubhouse." What do you want, man? Do you want a different position? I said, "No, I'm kidding." But like,
I need to make sure I have Gatorade on spot at all times.
Yeah, so it was a bummer, but I think I told my wife, I said, "Hey, if I get up and I make a grunting sound, you have to tell me, because I have to stop. I can't make this a thing. I can go, just because I sit up or whatever from the couch." So thankfully, she's like, "Yeah, no, I'll let you know." She's been
I mean, that's just a regular occurrence for me now. I stand up and I go, "Oh, okay, yep, we're good. We're up. The knees made it."
Yeah. Well, it's part of life. Getting 30 something, I guess. We're almost 30 now, man. So look at us go.
Yeah.
So you got for those who are listening to the podcast, yes, go check it out on YouTube, because Tubby right now is rocking the vintage. I mean, this is a classic hat. This Mavs hat right now with the green, the navy, the hat on the M. It's just a great logo.
Yeah. Absolutely need to bring this back as the primary logo for now on, because I mean, I don't mind the horse a whole lot, but man, nothing beats the M basketball with the cowboy hat on it.
I got a great marketing idea for the 90s year. We're going back to the 90s, and everyone this year, their uniforms are going back to that. So the Raptors are going to get those purple pinstripes with the raptor with the claw, and then is it a claw? I guess.
Yeah.
But Charlotte Hornets logos. The Charlotte Hornets still do have a solid logo. I will say that.
Yeah.
Even the more cartoonish. I just like that. The Thunder will have a little bit of a complication because of the Seattle Supersonics. But again, if they did that, one, I like only having 2 jerseys, maybe a third for fun. The amount of jerseys that are out there now, again, maybe this is because I'm too old and I'm like, there's too many jersey colors. Okay, just get us the home and away.
Yeah.
So I think that would be fun. But the Mavs rocking with the green, and it's just so good. Just makes me want to see Dirk Nowitzki again. I'm gonna go watch some highlights later.
I'm telling you, man. So just a little quick side note. I've been a Dirk fan, for how long. Dirk's my sports idol, my GOAT per se, and I never knew. Like I finally saw a video of why he wore number 41, and because he started out when he was young, he wore number 11, and that's part of the reason why I wore number 11 growing up. Seeing him, stuff from back in the day, and I guess growing up, Charles Barkley was his favorite player. Charles Barkley wore number 14. And so when he got drafted by the Mavs, they already had a guy that wore number 14. And the guy, some veteran that played like 1 or 2 years for the Mavs. And he's like, I ain't giving it up. You're a rookie. You ain't getting my number. And so he flipped it to number 41 and just stuck with it his whole career. But I was like, interesting. Little tidbit.
Yeah, I saw a video. I think it was that interview that he had with Barkley, and he said, Charles said, "Hey, where are you at? Hey, why don't you come to Auburn?" And he tried to recruit him. I thought that was but yeah, Dirk Nowitzki is awesome. And they just don't make him like him anymore.
They don't.
Yeah, I have like some of the interviews on podcasts. People asking guys like KG. For the record, Kevin Garnett is an incredible podcast guest. I haven't listened to the whole podcast, but the guy loves basketball, and for him just to talk basketball, and people like, who would you take, LeBron or Kobe as a teammate? And every time he sticks with his guys, every time he's like, it's not close. What are you talking about? Give me AI. I don't care. Just give me what my guys. And I'm like, this is why my all-time starting lineup, I decided to add Kevin Garnett to it, because I love that competitive fire that he had. And I understand that a lot of people want Tim Duncan, but give me KG, and I'll be comfortable with it.
Yeah, give me number 41.
I get that. Okay, that's good too. Again, both are great because all three of those you can't. I would just like to point that out, but all three. Yeah. So, as long as you're not putting Steph Curry, I get it. He shoots well, but come on now.
Yeah, no.
So anyway, let's jump into it a little bit here. So we got the Mavericks. They're down 1-0. They're about to play a little bit. Apologies on the time. We could have bumped this up a little bit for you if you wanted to watch the game a little bit, but
I got it on.
You got yeah. So how are you feeling as a Mavs fan? You're repping all the gear, so there's got to be a little bit of superstition there.
So yeah, I didn't wear it game 1. They got thumped. I figured, why not? Let's see if we can bring some good juju, because that game Kyrie had was pitiful, to say the least. You had a chance, kind of that to reassert yourself, the get back at the Celtics, and you just come out and just lay an absolute egg. Can't hit a
first quarter.
Yeah, you couldn't buy a shot. Wide open threes missing. Trying to do a lot with the dribbling and just getting stopped. So yeah, they're gonna have to find some offense somewhere else. Whether or not the Celtics shoot as the lights out as they did from 3-point every single game, doubt it. The way the Celtics shot from 3 game 1, that was just, they couldn't miss. Porzingis was a man on a mission. You tell he was getting his get back game, Mavs, with the Mavs, and then the way it kind of ended. And then there's, the rumors that, him and Luka absolutely don't like each other and, stuff like that. So, for them, it's just, they've got to find some scoring. They kind of, they were down 27, got within 4, and I was like, okay, this is what we're seeing. They're finally getting into it. And then the Celtics made an adjustment. Tatum and Jaylen Brown started driving the ball more and getting those outside shots, with Derek White and other guys, Al Horford in the corners. And the Mavs really didn't have any answer after that. And rest is history.
Yeah, I was going into the series. I said this is the must win. Like, obviously, you always want to split 1-1. Isn't it 3-2 in the finals, or is it 2-2-2-1 or 2-2?
I'm not exactly sure. I know they changed it, and I don't know if they've changed it back. But yeah, it's
looking at it, the Mavs have to win 1 or 2, and that was the one I thought they could have gone after because of being out of rhythm, out of game time. But honestly, teams had to deal with that because it was such a long break. And why does the NBA not have them? Why is it Thursday and Sunday? Like, why do we miss Saturday? Or
That's what I was trying to figure out.
It seems like it's way too many days between. Don't like it. I kept thinking, like yesterday, I was like, wait, shouldn't there be a game tonight? And There's no game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Why skip a day? It's not like there was a travel day or anything. Understanding. Oh, okay, we skipped 2 days for travel, whatever, since it's the final. But yeah, I don't get it. I guess maybe for them, it's they can prolong the season. A couple extra days.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. That's what the NBA that you definitely want to get. I mean, we talked about this right before, and we'll get to it here in a second. The Dodgers versus the Yankees and how the MLB's like, please let this be the World Series. Imagine a world where the Pacers and the Timberwolves were in the finals right now. How the NBA would be like, we're losing so much money on this.
Game 1, they say it was the lowest viewed game since 2007, not including the COVID year.
I mean, I feel like that's on them for the product.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. But hopefully it gets better. I mean, the game wasn't. I mean, they got close, but it was just really. I mean, Boston was a better team in that one. So, another massive basketball news. It's going around. Caitlin Clark did not make it onto the Olympic team, and a lot of people are upset about it. A lot of people understand it. Caitlin Clark has been incredible with her responses to it. It gives me something to go after. I'm telling you, this girl is the face of the WNBA. I don't know. I know so many people still push like, hey, it's the draft class is incredible, and I get that. But every time I look, I'm looking at WNBA box scores now. I'm looking at how many people are attending these games, and she is getting sellout crowds more than anybody else. So watch out. Let me ask you this: will she take the sport to a higher level, a higher platform than people like Lisa Leslie, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi?
If she can reach her, potential, because she struggled a little bit to start the season, which is typical. You're going from, if she can reach her potential, absolutely. The way she plays the game, and I think this, not making Team USA kind of sparked something. I don't know if you saw what she told the coach. They unleashed a monster when she didn't get picked for the USA roster, in which their excuse I thought was kind of just dumb and bizarre. I think a big part of it had to do with maybe some of those. It seems like she has a target on her back.
Thomas, man.
What?
Isaiah Thomas. Remember, he didn't get to go to the Dream Team because Michael didn't like him.
Yeah, and it just seems like said the way that they kind of went at her, those players. The cheap shot last week that she took, and I think that maybe some of those players don't really like the way she's getting the recognition, but the recognition's adequate because what she has done for the game of women's basketball, which I don't understand why you'd be so mad about it, because for you women, you talk about pay equity and you're not getting paid enough for this. Well, the more people that watch, the higher the salaries are going to be. So why would why wouldn't you want her in the league? Why wouldn't you want her on Team USA? Bring more recognition. And they're worried about, oh, well, what's going to happen with her fans if she's not getting enough playing time for the Olympic team? I wouldn't have questioned that, just because, nothing against her. Yeah, I think she's a great player. But you got women on this team that's done this, been there, won multiple Olympic medals. So why would she play over them at this point right now? But she still probably should have made the roster because, every year they seem to take a kid or woman straight out of high school or right out of college almost every single year. But this year you don't for some reason. It kind of makes you wonder.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I imagine a lot of these sports, there's still politics. Or hopefully it just creates a chip on her shoulder, which and she just continues to ball out and helps Indiana 2 or 3 years from now being in the finals. They're far from it right now. But there's a reason why they're picking number one. But she's doing a great job. It's great for the sport. And believe it or not, we're a month away from the Olympics anyway. So I feel okay. Like for her, I would have felt. She's played an NBA season. Like maybe not the games, but the season, basketball nonstop. She has played that now, and for her, Angel Reese, and the rest of that draft class, this is a grind. And to add that high level of competition, hopefully in the long run, it does more for her. Like I said, not like you said, not only for the competitive side, but even just to take care of herself. It could be a blessing in disguise. Maybe I'm trying to be silver lining here because we're not. But there's nothing more fun than watching teams dominate when it comes to the Olympics, like USA. I do love this. Right. That's the way to do it.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. pumped for the Olympics. So yeah, I'll be watching all the games and stuff. But yeah, it's just kind of I thought she should have made it, but you said maybe they're looking out for her best interest. Like you said, she's never played this much basketball, in her career, because she had like a 2-3 week,
break
from getting drafted after the season and then starting the WNBA training camp. So maybe they're just going, okay, you've played a lot, you haven't played this much basketball, let's go ahead and just kind of let you step back and kind of get your feet underneath you a little bit more.
Yeah, should be good. Did you see the men's national team soccer? Did you see them get blown out by Colombia? Way to go, Colombia. 5-1.
Yeah, Greg Berhalter needs to be gone.
It's not look good. I mean, they beat Mexico a couple of months ago. I think it was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And I was shocked when I saw the score.
Yeah, no, I mean, they were down 2-0 in the first 19 minutes. Yeah. Berhalter, if you don't watch soccer, he is very against the top 20 teams. His record is very, very poor, and the only top 20 team he has beaten in recent history is Mexico, and Mexico is not a top 20 team anymore. Mexico's not what they've been over the last few years, and the fact that he got rehired after the World Cup, fiasco, all that stuff, I was shocked, disappointed that they didn't go a different direction with someone that could potentially push them to the top, because this was the first time ever in U.S. men's history that all 11 starters play in the top 5 leagues in Europe. Wow. And you get beat 5-1.
5-1. Yeah, not looking good.
No.
That's friendly or whatever. And sometimes that's what turns it around, but it doesn't look good. Come on, time. So, yeah. My wife, she worked a track and field event a while back. It was an Olympic qualifier. And nice. She told me that there was one person, it was a girl, she had already, this was just her preliminary qualifiers, almost going through the motions. And the rest of the people were trying to compete for that, maybe an alternate spot. And she said, as soon as that girl stepped on the track and field spot, it was clear she was the Olympic athlete and just blowing people away. Could you imagine just a world where you train so hard for 2 weeks of well, I mean, that's the Olympics. There's also the World Championships every single year, all that kind of stuff. I understand that, but the Olympics is when that's the spotlight for the whole world to see.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how hard you train. You're at best an alternate. Could you imagine that world?
Yeah, no, it's wild. Yeah, to think that, like you said, you train so hard for 4 years for hopes that you make it to the next round. You can go to the Olympics and get knocked out in the first heat, and that's it. You train 4 years for that, and that's all you got was one chance, and you get knocked out. And so I think that's what makes it so much, so high pressure packed, that especially, I mean, granted, most of the time the favorites, they advance and you see them in the finals or at least semifinals, but you get like a false start. In the Olympics, you get one false start, or I think it's 2. You get 2 false starts, you're automatically disqualified. And the thing is, the way it's set up is say you commit the first one, or say you don't commit the first one, you commit the second one, you are the one that's disqualified out of all that, just because you didn't commit the first one and you commit the second one, you're disqualified. So it's crazy to think that just something simple like that, you're done. Yeah,
imagine a world where they didn't disqualify you. You could false start as many times as you want. You could get in the head of Usain Bolt. That's what I'm just fixing is we'll just keep false starting. We got this guy, our teammate, going to false start, get in his head, and then we'll go. So it's rule, but man, it's brutal. It's brutal world there. Before we move away from the basketball world, this is a new thing that the NBA has done the last couple of years, where you can actually go to the draft, you can do the combine, and then you can actually choose to stay. Maybe if your draft grade or draft stock isn't high enough. Now, we've already been on the fence about Bronny being an NBA talent. NBA scouts have talked about it quite a bit because it's LeBron James's, son. And here we are right now. He is going to stay in the draft. How do you feel about this? Is this a win for the future Lakers organization, or what is this?
I mean, to me, I don't think that he's ready for the NBA. You look what he did at college, and people they try to make the argument that he played out of position. He didn't play point guard. He played the shooting guard position. He's, a more natural point guard than he is a shooting guard. Okay, maybe that's the thing. But and part of it, I think a lot of it has to do with the heart issue that he dealt with, before the season, and, had to ramp things up, and it wasn't, a normal, start for him, but still you played on I think they were 11 and 16 team. You averaged 4 points, 3.4 or something like that, 4.3 points per game for a team that doesn't have a winning record. Doesn't show me that you're ready for the NBA. And I think the biggest thing was he's probably going to get drafted. It's all going to be because someone's going to draft him in the hopes of luring LeBron James away from LA to go play with, to play with Bronny. And, that's been something LeBron's talked about. He said it won't be the deciding factor if he leaves or whatever, but he's already came out and said that he's going to opt out of his contract this year. And so it gives him the opportunity. So I think if a team, in a decent market, like a team in Atlanta, we don't look at Atlanta Hawks as a big market team, but Atlanta, the city, is a big market. If Trae Young's still there, they trade DeJounte Murray, they go out and be able to, they draft, Bronny maybe in the high second round. You're able to get LeBron James because you have the money to, spend this offseason with losing Clint Capella, big contract, and now you trade away DeJounte Murray. Maybe you're able to lure LeBron to Atlanta because you still got a big market, there, and you've got a perennial all-star in Trae Young on the team also. And Jalen Johnson made huge strides this last season. So you got a decent team there, and the way things are going in LA, it's kind of, I don't know, I don't think contender worthy with the way they've played and with the roster they have. So maybe he is, just at that point where he's like, I'd just rather play with my son, and I'll go wherever.
Yeah, and they're still looking for a head coach. And Dan Hurley said they made a compelling argument. He really likes UConn. He's going to make a decision tomorrow. So you tell us, what is he doing?
I don't know. Honestly, if I was him, I wouldn't do it. I mean, we had this discussion, and to me, it makes no sense. Whatever, and the only thing that makes sense is financial wise. But he's still making $5-6 million at UConn, where he's won back-to-back national championships. He seems like he has this formula figured out with how to recruit in today's day basketball, college sports, where he's able to get these guys to buy in and get these transfers. I mean, he's got a big roster for next year to go chase that three-peat. But you are the perennial team right now in college basketball. You have so much control over what's going on. And we know LeBron James coaches don't last. The only coaches that ever lasted was Eric Spoelstra, and Gundy chose Spoelstra over LeBron James. So why go, especially if you don't even know if LeBron's going to be there. And if that's a big deciding factor, going, oh, well, we're going to have LeBron James on this team. If he's not there, that team's going to be so much worse than it was. You're probably going to last maybe a couple of years just based off of history. Yeah, possibly a little bit longer without LeBron there. But the thing is the history of college coaches trying to transition to the NBA. Go look at the history. It doesn't work most of the time.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I would definitely stay. Money, I get it.
Yeah,
but maybe he feels like, hey, I back-to-back championships in college basketball. It doesn't, there's nowhere to go but maybe down. I mean, you could do the Geno thing or the Patty Gasso thing, which we'll get to in a second, where it's but so stupid hard to do. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But you think of some of the all-time great college basketball coaches. They were there for decades, and they just all-time legacy. So, but speaking of back-to-back, Boomer Sooner, they take down Texas yet again in the College World Series, and we have not a new champion, but another championship for the Oklahoma Sooners to take home the crown. It's a great win.
I mean, it's the greatest 4-year run in maybe college history.
It's a dominating run.
Yeah, I mean, that senior class went 235-15, and half of those losses were this year.
Bunch of losers.
I mean, you have a senior class that has never ended a season on a loss.
That's impressive. That right there is pretty cool.
That's a stat that you'll probably never see again, because, I mean, just think about it. They never got shut out, never got run ruled. They, like I said, 235 and 15. The amount of home runs these teams that have hit, first team in NCAA college softball history to 4-peat, and to top it off, this senior class is 4th all time in national championships in college softball history. Just the senior class alone. 7 national championships in the last 11 years, 6 in the last 8 years, not including the COVID year.
Yeah. And what is wild about all this is, even for this season, is they lost people in the transfer portal, people who were key pieces to this puzzle in the past couple of championships, and they still made it happen. I mean, what Gasso has done there has been incredible. It's a fascinating run. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you lose Jordy Ball, who was the best pitcher in softball the last couple of years. Granted, she did get hurt this year, toward her UCL or ACL, whatever it was. Jocelyn Erickson was the SEC Player of the Year.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
She was the backup catcher at Oklahoma, transferred because she wanted to play catcher.
Get that?
And all she does is set the Florida record for most RBIs in a single season. You got Nugent, the third catcher on last year's team, starting for Tennessee this year. I mean, you lost a lot. And then on top of that, you lose Jocelyn Allo, and you lose, Alex Stracco. You lost so much off of last year's, 3-peat team, and turn around and everyone's like, oh, this is the year someone's going to catch up to them because they lost a lot. They're replacing some pieces. And it, at some point kind of looked like they weren't quite the same team. And then that final loss to Oklahoma State, we saw the OU team that we expected to see. Besides the one little hiccup against Florida in the World Series, they were just dominant.
Yeah.
From then on out.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a heck of a run. Here we are again.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love it. I saw it. I was like, yeah, I knew it. It was great. That's the way you want it. Sorry, I shouldn't go back to college football, but it just makes me so frustrated about the non-pass interference call against Stoops in the end zone. Like, it was so obvious that the Big 12 did not want this to happen, but it was great for the SEC to have the College World Series in softball be to future SEC. I mean, they're like, let's go.
Yeah, right. I mean, in the College World Series, I think half the teams were, at least SEC teams, are going to be SEC teams.
Yeah, I mean, that is right now. It's been the dominating factor for football the last decade plus. It looks like the Big Ten is kind of making a run at it a little bit here, but in softball now they're going to do the same thing. I don't know if they really do it in basketball, but they do it in baseball. So
yeah, let's say baseball, they are tough in baseball too. So it's in Oklahoma. I mean, you look at Oklahoma; they were the Big 12 regular season champs, and they have a lot of those kids returning for next year. So that team's going to be a pretty decent team. So yeah, they're definitely getting some upgrades in some spots for with Oklahoma and Texas coming in.
Well, and I'm to the point now in the college football game where I'm considering starting my franchise with Oklahoma, or my dynasty with Oklahoma. We'll see. They said the thing about how recruiting is going to be more challenging in these smaller schools. I'm like, maybe I just want to start with Oklahoma first.
Yeah, win a couple national championships with Oklahoma, then start one with the smaller team, and then see how it goes.
Exactly. There's some fun stuff that we may get into here at the end of the episode. So if you're like wanting some college football stuff, we may get to the end. It's just kind of some fun stuff. So we're going to continue moving on, because in the NFL world, we had quite a bit of contracts, some new markets set. So of these deals so far, tell me, what has been the biggest surprise?
I mean, out of the deals this offseason, I think the Jalen Waddle one for me is the biggest surprise. How much Jalen Waddle got paid to be a number 2 wide receiver. I was shocked at the amount of money he got. The other ones, they seem on par and where they should be, because it's Justin Jefferson. He's the best wide receiver in football. CMC, absolutely deserves it. The best running back in NFL, and it's maybe not really even close at this point right now.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those, they don't really shock me, but the amount of money that Waddle got to be a number 2 receiver and someone that's kind of had some injury histories the last over the couple of years that he's been in the NFL, a little concerning for what I think he's getting somewhere around $28 million per year or something like that. I mean, he's getting the numbers that you got, like guys like Ayuk and Deebo Samuel's looking for, and CD Lamb, who's going to get paid here pretty soon. So I was kind of shocked at the amount he was getting, and the fact that the 49ers aren't willing to pay Brandon Ayuk, who I think is a better wide receiver and a legitimate number 1 wide receiver, and they go out and they up Juwan Jennings, and I think that pretty much kind of shut the door on Ayuk and Deebo. So it's which one they're going to keep? You going to pay Ayuk and trade Deebo, or are you going to keep Deebo since he signed up and then trade Ayuk and let someone else pay him?
Yeah, I think that the writing's on the smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and I think it's all going to happen. It's Ayuk is on the way out, and the team is going to get really lucky. I know that people love Deebo. I love it. They love his love that he can still kind of be that. I don't know what the type role is where you can still run the ball. I think a picture or receive that's not really well. But Brandon Ayuk is I think he's just underutilized in an offense that's so efficient and effective because they have great skill positions. Someone's going to get a great receiver.
Yeah, for me, he's right up there, if not the best route runner in the NFL right now. And that's like, if you've listened to the draft, coverage that we do, that's the thing for me that sticks out the most about wide receivers. And you look at the top wide receivers in the NFL, and most of them are just fantastic, route runners. And that's what I love to see these guys be able to beat you off the line just based off of the route running that they have, the tree, the ability they have to get open. And to me, it's right up there. If, like I said, if not the best, he's definitely top 2 or 3 best route runners in the NFL. If he's not the top.
Well, in thinking through that, I mean, Tyreek Hill also said he wants a new deal. I mean, he wants more money now, and I get it because he wants to be the highest paid, but this is dumb that these guys always are like, I want to reset the market myself. Yeah, but you did. Remember, they backed up the Brinks truck for you.
Yeah.
They gave you all.
And you just said last year that you're retiring after 2025. So why would I mean, granted, there's a good chance he doesn't, but you already came out and said that. So why would they invest even more money into you if you're going to just call it quits in the next couple of years? You probably hurt yourself a lot by saying that, because if that's the case, then I'm like, okay, well, why would I pay him, $35 million a year if he's planning on retiring a couple seasons?
Yeah. Well, and Tua still, he wants his, he wants an extension. The Dolphins are the window that they thought they had. It looks like it is going to slam shut. But the good news is they still got Odell Beckham Jr. And on paper, it sounds awesome. I don't know why people. We're going to get to that here in a second. I got to think about that. But in other news and notes, Patriots said that there's no rush to start Drake May, and that they want to. The plan is obviously for the early part of the year, if not the whole season. So, the Patriots fan, again, just understanding that the NFL is not for long. But is this the right decision for Drake May's development?
It absolutely is, if they make that decision, because the kid has a lot to work on. And your head coach come out and already said it. You go first practice. He's like, he's got a lot to work on. And I think they're smart. They're looking at it the way I think a lot of people are looking at it, going, you don't have a roster to compete. If you don't, let him sit, we're going to see another Drake May, Sam Darnold, or not Drake May, but Bryce Young, Sam Darnold, like all these quarterbacks has just gotten thrown straight into the fire and, didn't make it out alive. That's what the potential you have with Drake May, just throwing him in there, because it's not like we saw with CJ Stroud, where, you had Nico Collins, you had Dalton Schultz, you had some really good pieces there still, and, a decent offensive line, and New England, not quite there. You got a decent running back. That's about it. What we can see, you had one of the worst offensive lines last year. don't have really much of playmakers. You got some young guys that have potential to be playmakers in Polk and Baker, but we don't know if they are that in the NFL. So at this point, starting Jacoby Brissett for, if you can, for the whole season, or maybe the last couple games, let Drake May get his feet wet. That's the move, because you throw him in there, there's a chance that he's going to sink and he won't resurface at any point.
Yeah, sorry, I'm about to sneeze so hard.
No, you're good.
Ramondre Stevenson, also, you got to talk about availability a little bit for him.
Yeah.
He's a really good, talented running back. I love his profile, but in 2 of his 3 years, he's only played 12 games. Plus, you go back to college, he did have some injury issues. So they're going to have to figure that out. And why not? Why not tweak the way we develop the most valuable position in pro sports is the quarterback. So why not tweak it? Because the way you have it right now does not work, especially to the masses. So let's at least, I get it, for some players it works. We talked about CJ Stroud. You know what? It worked. Good talent. But you have to tweak for the masses and then recognize when you have different moments for the ones where it's going to work. So I think it's the right call too. 100% agree. That's what a lot of people have been talking about, is like, hey, this has to be what they're going to do. So
yeah.
Darren Waller retires after getting a big deal from the New York Giants, but injuries have been just a big concern for him. Their writing was on the wall for this one too. Smoke and fire. This is good for the Giants because it frees up some space, and I think for them they would have rather had it happen before the draft. But
I mean, though the thing is like, what are you really losing? Because honestly, you didn't have him. Yeah. I mean, he barely played while he was there, so it's not like you really lost a whole lot. I mean, Darren Waller had one fantastic season, and it absolutely made his NFL career, and then had some really bright spots, but was never really able to stay on the field, and that's been his biggest problem. And New York, you made the trade last year, and it looked like a decent trade, maybe just because the potential to give Daniel Jones another weapon, but I mean, you lost Daniel Jones real early in the season, and Darren Waller didn't hardly play last year. So I don't think you really lost a whole lot there. I mean, so it frees up money for you. I think for the Giants, they're kind of probably like, we'll take it.
Yeah, and it's the NFL. So every now and then you have that retirement. You're like, man, there's still a bit left in the tank, but it might be better for that player to do that. So I'd love to know, because we talked about receivers. Right now, who are your top 5 wide receivers heading into this season? We talked about Brandon Ayuk. We talked about Debo, obviously, Justin Jefferson. You ought to throw Jamar Chase in there. There is a Tyreek Hill. How would you do this? Who are you going to put in there? And I can give you a list of some people.
So am I basing this based off of how I think they'll produce, or just best wide receivers, period? Not including who they have on the football team.
You tell me. You give me, then you tell me why.
Okay. So number 1, I think the best wide receiver in the NFL is hands down Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson, what he brings to the table, the route running, the ability to get open, the hands, the ability to go up, catch the ball, he goes across the middle, he does everything, and he's doing it at a historical rate at this point.
Yeah.
If we're talking, and so I'm gonna base this all off of best players, not what the production will be, because I don't know what the production will be for Justin Jefferson next year with Sam Darnold and potentially JJ McCarthy. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is the biggest mismatch in the NFL. The speed is insane, and he needs really only 2 routes.
Yep.
You give him a drag route and a go route, and he's set.
Yeah.
Because you ain't going to be able to keep up with them in drag route. You ain't going to be able to keep up with them in go route. So, I mean, as long as you got your quarterback that's an accurate guy and you can throw it down the field a decent amount, you're set. Tyreek Hill, biggest mismatch with that speed that he brings. Number 3, I think CeeDee Lamb put himself in that conversation after what he did last year. Led the NFL in receptions, one of the top receivers in receiving yards, touchdowns. What CeeDee Lamb did last year, he proved that he is a top 3 wide receiver. He's a lot like what Justin Jefferson does. He does everything from the slot, from the outside, route running. He is one of the best route runners in the NFL. Jamar Chase, I think, is number 4. What Jamar Chase can do when healthy is special, and he is a talent that, when him and Justin Jefferson came into the league, you looked at that LSU team and you're like, how's that fair?
It's not.
Yeah, and so I think he comes in at number 4. Number 5, that's a tough one.
Now it's real.
Yeah, now this comes down to like, what do you think? Man, I'm between a few guys.
Who are the guys?
So I'm between AJ Brown. I love what AJ Brown can do, the size, the speed, the hands, but he's not the most consistent guy, and I don't know how much of that was Jalen Hurts last year with the way Jalen Hurts played. Brandon Ayuk, I think, is up there with what he was able to do, and I think you put him in a position where he is the legitimate number 1. He doesn't have to deal with Kittle, McCaffrey, and Debo. We'll see him put up numbers like a CeeDee Lamb type guy. I think DJ Moore is a very underrated wide receiver, and I've said it for years. I think DJ Moore has him and Mike Evans. It's kind of 1A, 1B who's the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. But I'm going to go with the guy that's kind of came on the last couple of years, and he's been someone that I have looked at in fantasy the last few years, and that's Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Wow. Okay, as your number 5 is over Mike Evans.
Over Mike Evans. And we're talking right now. And you said Mike Evans is one of the most underrated guys. 1,000 yards, 100 receptions, 10 touchdowns. You can pencil that in every single year. But I'm talking about right now, I love what Amon-Ra brings. And like I said, route running is my biggest thing when it comes to, looking at wide receivers and the amount, what he brings. I mean, over the last, 2.5 years, and he leads the NFL in receptions and, target, yards per reception. He just does so much. And a lot of it is from the slot. He doesn't have the versatility on the outside, but he's a more consistent, less injured Cooper Kupp, in my opinion. He just doesn't have the huge touchdown numbers that Cooper Kupp had a couple years ago. And, now he's, splitting with Laporta, and you got Jahmyr Gibbs in there now. So his numbers, still last year were fantastic for what he did. So I think he's another guy that just doesn't get looked at a whole lot because he doesn't put up the biggest flashy, gaudy numbers, but he is so consistent and productive all the time.
Yeah. So I can't put him there yet. I get it, but because Mike Evans is that number 5, because outside of route running, catching the ball in the red zone and scoring touchdowns is so important and underappreciated, I think, in the big scheme of things, because we look at yards so quickly. Mike Evans, just every year, they're like, oh, he's going off the cliff, and maybe he is this year. But every year it seems like we look and he has 13 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, it's not going to be him anymore. It's going to be Godwin. Nope. It's still Mike Evans. And who is their quarterback? Baker Mayfield. So Baker Mayfield loves this. But I do like him. The Stephon Diggs doesn't need to be in there. I think that's one of Keenan Allen is secretly he's like a poor man's version of Mike Evans. Obviously not as healthy, but there you go.
Yeah.
Some of in case people are wondering, Amari Cooper, Nico Collins, those and Puka were all top 10 in receiving yards last year, and not mentioned in this list. So just throw that out there.
I mean, we're talking about an era where the wide receiver position is probably the deepest we've ever seen.
It's a little bit
with and I mean, really, you could, like I said, that number 5 position, it's kind of up in the air. Like, I mean, it's just kind of that person's opinion at that point, who it is, because there's so many guys that you could put in that position because there's so many productive wide receivers. Like you said, you named Amari Cooper, Puka. I mean, the thing with Puka is that, he has to prove it more. A couple of these guys, we need to see, a little bit more, prove it to me that you are a top 5 wide receiver. And then, like I said, I won't argue against the Mike Evans because, like I said, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, to me, are the 2 most underrated wide receiver, players, maybe just players in the NFL with what they do year in, year out. And granted, we love Baker Mayfield, but they don't have guys like, Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or, Dak Prescott, with the numbers that he's put up in his career passing wise. They haven't had these guys every single year. I mean, look what DJ Moore did his first how many years of his career in Carolina with the quarterback play that he had.
Yeah.
And you could say the same thing for Mike Evans, besides the last couple of years, where he's had, Brady and, Mayfield. He had Jameis Winston, who had a 40 interception season. And other than that, it's just a couple other guys thrown in there whenever, Mike Glennon and,
Mike Glennon, dude, that guy. Oh, it's so good.
Just all these, terrible quarterbacks. And every single year, 100 receptions, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, pencil it in every single year. And it's just, I think that's another factor is too. You're just seeing those guys put up those numbers consistently with bad quarterback play. It's just kind of hard to really decide on that fifth guy.
Yeah, and I have one thing I want to get to here in a second, but remember that year that the Chicago Bears saw Mike Glennon and thought, he's our guy. Come on, guys. The Bears, and they got so lucky that Caleb Williams just dropped into their lap like that. My gosh, that was insane.
Yeah.
So let me go over this then. We're going to go over I'm going to say some names, and I want you to tell me Hall of Fame or not Hall of Fame. Okay? These are all wide receiver based. I just want to get your opinion on where they are now. So you can say, yep, Hall of Fame, or two said need some work, or it could be I don't see it. All right, so 3 options. I got names. We'll go kind of rapid fire a little bit here. See what you think.
Okay.
Julio Jones.
Absolutely lock.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Lock.
That was one of the guys that I was going to say, you talk about bad quarterbacks. His best quarterback was probably Matt Schaub.
Yeah.
Insane. All right. Mike Evans, for sure. I think we would all agree with that one. Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I think he'll be a Hall of Famer.
All right. So let's go down the list. Amari Cooper.
That's a fringe guy for me. I don't know. I think that it'll be the way the rest of his career goes, because there was a couple years there, with the Raiders, and then he had a couple of hiccups there, with the Cowboys that traded him for a 5th-round pick, because his production had dropped off. So I'm gonna say it's a fringe guy. I'm not quite sure.
All right, then how about Diggs?
That's another guy. I mean, he has been super productive. I think that he'll eventually get in. I think he will, but it may take him a few years.
Yeah. Let me scroll down this list. Cooper Kupp.
Right now, no.
Isn't that crazy? Like the peak of his career so far, and then to be falling down. Adam Thielen.
No.
Wow, this is great. DJ Moore.
Potentially, it'll depend on how many more years he's able to keep up with the production, because they said the production's been there. What is he, 6th, 7th year in the NFL? So he's still got a few more years under his belt that he could really boost up his potential.
This is great. I'm on ProFootballReference.com on this list for all-time receiving yards. The sun is right in my face. But unless you file your retirement paperwork, it's like you're still on this list as active. So I'm going to throw a name back to 2006. Are you ready for this? Currently, this list is the number 33 active yards leader, Mercedes Lewis.
Mercedes Lewis, the big dog.
I know. It says he's been in the league for 18 years.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's re-signing with the Bears.
Totally makes sense. How in the world?
He's just a big block, and he's basically an extra offensive lineman.
Yeah. That's crazy. DK Metcalf and CD Lamb.
I think CD has a much better chance. I think what CD Lamb showed last year, I think that's what we'll see most of the rest of his career. DK, I'm not quite sure if he will be there at that point. I don't know. It'll really depend on if he'll be able to keep up the production if bad quarterback play gets in.
Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
I think they both will eventually. I think they're on the trajectory. I mean, Justin Jefferson, like right now, he's on pace setting NFL historical numbers.
Yeah.
He's on pace to break Jerry Rice's reception numbers and stuff like that, the way he's going through his first 3 or 4 years of the seasons, of his career. So I think he'll definitely be. I think Jamar Chase has a absolutely good chance to.
Yeah. Well, did I say Odell?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Let me ask you this: who's been in the league longer, Odell or Tyler Lockett? Or is it a trick question? Do they come in the same year?
That's what I'm thinking.
Very close.
I'm going to say Odell's been in the league one more year.
Okay, and who has more receiving yards in their career?
Lockett.
Yes. I mean, they're both within 60 yards all time. But Lockett is 13. Odell's 14th on the all-time list right now. And yes, you're correct. Odell did come in 1 year earlier. He has had more injuries, but to see the difference, I mean, no. I mean, you don't look at Tyler Lockett. You can't look at Odell and say that he is one of those guys. But I think that's one of those I think most people would not see.
Yeah, no. I mean, Odell has no shot. The way his career is right now, he absolutely has no shot at making the Hall of Fame.
The way, also the way you say absolutely with the way you say it is great. Not a chance. No, absolutely. Yeah. All right. So I appreciate you playing that little game there, right there. Hopefully you all got to play along as we were going along, and you could say yes or no as you listen to the podcast. But we'll get to more of those positions as we're in the off season. Just make some fun as we do that. But let's get a little bit of baseball news. Right now, the Tigers option a first-round pick, a first overall pick to Spencer Torkelson back to AAA because the dude cannot hit for power. He can't even hit for average right now. Him going down, the Tigers are hovering around 500 right now in a very competitive division outside of the White Sox. I mean, do we give up on Spencer?
It's so tough because, like you said, we saw the potential the second half of the season last year. And we're like, man, we're finally seeing Torkelson hit. But, we talked about this a couple of weeks back, when we were talking about, are we worried about, things going on? And I on record saying that I think that it was a flash in the pan last year. I think last year was an outlier for his season and wasn't what we were going to see consistently. And right now it's looking like we're seeing what Spencer Torkelson was or what he's going to be, in his career, which is sad, first pick in the draft, the power number potential was so there, but the power numbers so far this season for a guy that hit 30 home runs last year, we're like, where's that power number? What's going on? I mean, he's still young. There's still always that potential, chance that he'll find someone that can turn him around. He may end up getting traded, and it may not be with the Tigers where he finds that.
Yeah. Hopefully he could retool. They're just gonna let him have fun. I think a lot of these players who are struggling, offense is down as a whole so far. Yeah. Now they're gonna probably tweak that because summer's coming. They got to get people in the stands. They're gonna change the ball or something. Maybe baseball will, and they're gonna start hitting some home runs. Hopefully that can help with confidence. But it feels like so many of these players are struggling. Jordan Walker got sitting down. Same thing. He just couldn't hit the ball. Couldn't get the ball in the air. And there's so many guys like that. It's disappointing. Yeah. Highly touted prospects, and most of them, it's so hard in baseball to get there. If you look at some of these top picks, and you're just like, who are these guys? Yeah. That's just how hard the game of baseball is. Right now, you're looking at the Astros have more injuries than anybody else. I mean, they played against the Cardinals. They beat the Cardinals in the series 2-1. But even Kyle Tucker took a massive foul ball right off the shin. Tried to cut in, couldn't. The guy's pretty tough. But right now, there's 6 games under 500 and having more injuries to the rotation. We're about a month away from having to decide, are you a seller or not?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think – I think they're sellers. I don't think they can recover. I don't think there's enough within that organization. I don't think you have enough to trade for anything big to help out that rotation enough. You lose a couple starters, and then you got other starters. Yeah, Hunter Brown's kind of bouncing back the last few starts. He's looking, better than he did the first few, first month of the season, month and a half. But still, I mean, you're relying on Justin Verlander, who has been injured the last couple of years. He's old, how much left does he have in the tank? Hunter Brown, who hasn't pitched, very consistent this year, and a cheater.
And a cheater. I'm just saying, a cheater. That's fact. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's prove it. I don't see them selling until the last moment. And this division lead, I mean, Seattle is going to have to run away with it, or Texas is going to, because if they were within 7 games or less, which they are right now, if they are, I just can't see this team with the history that they have in the ALCS over the last decade. Yeah. That they're going to say, I want them to so bad. I want them to. Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, like you said, it just kind of speaks to the way the game is right now. It is offense wise, it hasn't been great for a lot of guys that have, typically put up a lot of numbers. And whether or not that's just kind of a orchestration of the season they're having and the season of baseball this year, or the MLB's, looking at that baseball going, this baseball's not, flying out of the park enough, so we're going to have to change it up. But I saw this question the other day, and, it's showing like NFL players, NBA players trying to throw, play baseball. It all started with, did you see the thing with Micah Parsons where he said he could bat 200 in the season? And you see it, I was like, there's no shot. I asked you this question: is there any sport more than baseball that makes an athlete look so unathletic?
No, baseball can do. I was about ready to say golf, but there's not. You don't have to be an athlete to be a good golfer.
No,
you got to be. No. But yeah, no, it makes you look stupid. It looks silly. It's so much harder than you think. I saw a video and it was showing the different levels of softball fast pitch, of like what it looks like, and it always one pitch baseball. And I was like, I couldn't hit that. There's no way. And this is a softball. Like, this is bigger. I should be able to at least make some contact. There's no way. The baseball, no chance.
Yeah, I mean, go back and watch the video mid-2000s. Jenny Finch pitching against, Albert Pujols, Barry Bonds, all these big name power hitters, and just blowing that rise ball past them, and they're like, "What just happened?" I had, basically it was a 70-mile-per-hour rise ball coming past them, and they're like, "We're not used to a ball coming that fast at us that close," and so yeah, baseball. I mean, just also go watch C.J. Stroud throw a baseball. We're talking about an NFL quarterback. Go watch him throw the baseball, and you go, "How is that guy an NFL quarterback?" Because I get there's two completely different throwing mechanics, but the way that guy throws a baseball, you wouldn't guess at all that he was an NFL quarterback. The way he throws that baseball. When I first saw it, I was like, "This has to be a joke. He's not. He's just messing around, right?" And he, throws out the first pitch, and I'm like, "No, he really can't throw a baseball."
Well, let me ask you this: who's one of the greatest athletes in the last 100 years?
I mean, which one? Michael Jordan, Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders.
What did Bo Jackson, one of the greatest athletes of all time, played multiple sports? What did he hit in his career?
Ooh,
it's probably better.
I'm not sure. I was thinking around the 260 mark, but I don't know if it's quite that.
That is annoyingly close. 250.
Is it?
Yeah. With an on-base percentage, and this is where I think a lot of people like. Bo had a low on-base percentage. He wasn't really a walker, but his all-time high in walks is 44. Was 309. I would love that to be the thing. Is you tell me, like, because people don't really. He talks about average. People don't care about average. Kyle Schwarber could hit 200 this year. Plays the game professionally, so you're telling me that you could.
Yeah.
You get an on-base percentage above 300. Not happening.
No, and the thing is though is Kyle Schwarber is going to hit 40 home runs.
Yeah,
that's okay at 200. With the way the game of baseball is played, you're batting 200, and you maybe get lucky and sneak one out. I doubt it. But the difference is, you're a freak athlete in the NFL world. You are a freak athlete. But Bo Jackson played baseball his whole life.
Yeah,
his whole life, and his on-base percentage is 309. Highest was 309. His career batting average is 250. You really think that you can get up there and hit 200 when you got guys like Austin Barnes, who's batting 200 this year, but last year hit 109 and has been in the major leagues for the last 10 years?
Yeah, it's just no. Get out of here, Micah Parsons. You don't even know what you're talking about. Go tell everyone that you're going to win the Super Bowl this year. Okay, you have a better chance as a Dallas Cowboy to win the Super Bowl this year or the NFC Championship than you do to hit 200 or have an on-base percentage above 250.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when I saw it, and I mean, I love C.J. Stroud just being like, "Dude, no shot." I mean, he kept it real. He was like, "Yeah, you have no shot. Baseball is the hardest sport to play."
Dude,
anyone wants to argue with you, maybe golf. You can throw golf in there because golf is incredibly hard and it's difficult. But when we're talking about athleticism and just being a pure athlete and stuff like that, baseball is the hardest sport to play. There's no other sport that you're going to look at and they're going to fail 70% of the time, and it's going to be good.
Yeah. Oh man, what an idiot.
Yeah.
Makes me think of that Will Ferrell again. Man. We ran out of time for some of the college football stuff, but don't worry, we still have it on reserve for our next couple episodes because the NBA Finals are tonight, and Tubby's wearing all his Mavs gear right now, and so we gotta get going. So
we're up 6. We're up 6.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, so it's still locked in and ready to go. So we appreciate everyone jumping into the podcast, listening, downloading it. Thank you so much for doing that. We're gonna keep at this. We got a couple other episodes this month. And as we roll into the summer months, man, you do not want to miss a single episode. So make sure you subscribe wherever it is that you consume the podcast, whether it be on social media, YouTube. It could even be on Apple Podcasts, right? Spotify. I don't know. Just thank you so much and share it with someone new so they can join the conversation because at the W Sports Podcast, there's one thing that Tubby and I know is you just got to listen.
Just got to listen.
All right. See y'all later.
See ya.